Retired Colonel Miri Eisin is the managing director of the International Institute for Counterterrorism at Reichman University. She served in the Israeli intelligence community for many years and worked at the Prime Minister's office as an international media advisor during the Second Lebanon War. Eisin is an expert in geopolitics and regional security. Welcome and thanks for being here with us today.
Always a pleasure to be with Media Line.
Can you tell us, how do you read what's been happening between Israel and Hizbullah since the war started?
Hezbollah is trying to act as if they are definitely helping out Hamas in the Gaza Strip. And at the same time, Hezbollah is very wary of the Israeli focus being against Hezbollah. So it's trying to hold both sides of the sword in its own way, semi-successful. Hezbollah has managed to create de facto almost a buffer zone on the Israeli side because of their actions against Israeli communities all along the border inside Israel. Israel preemptively evacuated over 24 communities. Having said that, Hezbollah continuously firing into Israel has been attacked consistently by Israel and is having a lot of casualties in Lebanon as they continue to use their diverse arsenal of weapons.
Do you believe that it is possible to get to a diplomatic agreement in which Hezbollah would retreat and stay north from the Litani River?
I do not. I understand the interest. I understand the idea, but I don't think that there is any force that's going to make the terror military force that Hezbollah has actually move. I don't believe Hezbollah. So even if they say that they're willing to do so, and I don't think that they will, I don't believe that they'll do that. Who will follow that? Who will implement that? And because of that, I think that the diplomatic idea is lovely, but it's totally impractical.
One way or another, Hezbollah does go north to the Litani River. Are the Israeli northern communities safe because of that?
If the Hezbollah forces, and here it's specifically also the ground Radwan force, much stronger, with many more weapons and capabilities and training than the Nusra force that we saw attack Israel by Hamas on October 7th. If the Radwan force goes north of the Litani, that is a significant event. If there is some kind of diplomatic pressure that would make Iran tell Hezbollah to move that force to the north of the Litani River, that is significant. And yes, I do think that then the Israeli communities all along the border would feel much safer. It's not the only thing that would have to be done, but that's the main direct threatening force on the border communities.
What is the possibility of an all-out war erupting, and what are the main considerations taken by both Israel and Hezbollah before starting a war?
Every single day we need to be aware that both because of miscalculation, but also because of the targeting itself that Hezbollah is doing into the state of Israel, that a full-scale war could break out. To be clear, right now we're at war with Hezbollah. It is a war of attrition. It is localized. Most of the buffer zone, as I said, the evacuation was inside Israel. For it to be full-scale with Hezbollah using the immense amount of weaponry that they have, it could be because of a Hezbollah successful attack into Israel. We have been exceedingly good at preventing all of these incoming attacks, very few level of casualties inside Israel until now. It could be a miscalculation that when Israel responds against all of these Hezbollah attacks that have been taking place against Israel, if an Israeli's response inadvertently, there's a large amount of casualties on the Lebanese side, Hezbollah could decide to do a full-scale attack. Add into that Hezbollah is an Iranian proxy. If Iran changes its tune, if Iran thinks that it's not enough to use the Houthis in Yemen or the different Iraqi Shiite proxy groups or the Syrian Shiite proxy groups and wants to expand Hezbollah's attacks against Israel, that can also bring about full-scale war. I don't see right now Israel doing right now a preemptive full-scale attack against all of Hezbollah's capabilities. But to be clear, we are attacking them daily both along the border and deeper inside, and targeting inside Syria against all of their different capabilities.
Can you speak about the capabilities of Hezbollah, their arsenal, and what actually can they do, and what's different from Hamas?
Everything that we saw from Hamas, pretty much times 10. Everything that we saw from Hamas with more training and with much more, what I'm going to call very high-tech weapons. Meaning Hamas managed to have much more. We knew what Hamas had. Most of our problem there was that we did not assess that they would use it. But when we're talking about Hezbollah, their Radwan force, literally thousands of trained operatives that have been trained physically in Iran, who know how to use all of their weapons, who are on motorcycles, the paragliders, all of the different capabilities that we saw, who have been training to do above ground, below ground capabilities of attacking communities. The weapons themselves, anti-tank guided missiles, suicide drones, a wide variety of UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles with weaponry, with gathering capabilities, and add to all of that a very big variety of rockets and missiles, including exact guided missiles. All of these are capabilities that we may have seen singularly from Hamas, but when it comes to Hezbollah, they have all of these weapons en masse. If Hamas had 15,000 rockets, Hezbollah has 150,000 rockets. So that when you take these numbers, it is a very big challenge. Israel can withstand it and attack it, but it doesn't mean that you do it without any casualties inside Israel, without any successes to Hezbollah. It is a very big challenge that we've been aware of for over a decade in its present form.
If a war doesn't erupt, what's the solution for this threat in Israel's eyes?
Hezbollah's capabilities are what Israel was preparing itself for, and part of the reason that we missed Hamas's preparations. Israel has been preparing to take out Hezbollah's capabilities for many years. Israel has preemptively attacked different Hezbollah targets, mainly in Syria, slightly inside Lebanon, for many years. To do an all-out preemptive strike, Israel has the capabilities. It means attacking dozens, if not hundreds, simultaneously from the air and from the ground of the Hezbollah weaponry, cache of weapons. Where are all of these weaponries and operatives? Inside towns and villages and cities, both in southern Lebanon, in the city of Beirut, in the Bekaa Valley. So everything that we're seeing in that sense of the challenges of civilian populations where Hezbollah lives within that civilian population would exist in any kind of an attack against Hezbollah inside Lebanon. We already see it on a small scale right now as we are doing targeted attacks against these different Hezbollah terrorists in different towns and villages. We've mainly been very targeted, only killing Hezbollah operatives. But even in these last 2.5 months, we have killed a civilian here, a civilian there. It would be on a much larger scale.
And that being said, what is the stand of the rest of the Lebanese leadership?
Lebanon is a complex country. It's made out of a variety of minorities. Lebanon has not had a census, a demographic count of how many people they are and the different minorities from 1932. Why am I giving that historical fact? Because there's no question that the Shiites of Lebanon, Arabic-speaking Shiites of Lebanon, that Hezbollah is one of their both political parties, politics done by a terror organization, but political parties, that the Shiites in Lebanon are probably over 50% of the population. So when we talk about all of the other Lebanese, most likely together, they're around 50% of the population. That includes Sunni Arabic-speaking Muslims. That includes Druze Arabic-speaking. That includes Alawite Arabic-speaking. It also includes a large Christian population with a variety of denominations. I don't have expectations of Lebanon the country. All of the diplomacy is done with Lebanon the country. And that's why it's such a big question. What do you do with a hybrid terror organization? It's both part of the population, it's the Shiite Arabic-speaking population of Lebanon. It participates in the political process, and it has the 8th largest cache of weapons in the world.
And what would be the consequence for Lebanon as a country, given that its economy is so collapsed? What would be the consequence of an all-out war between Israel and Hizbullah?
Lebanon is a country of almost 10 million people that hosts an enormous amount of refugees from the Syrian war. They also have a contingency of Palestinian refugees from 1948. The country itself used to have a very sustainable economy. That economy fell apart over the last 4 or 5 years, took a dive over the last 2 years, not connected to Israel, to the war, to the Palestinian issue. This is about domestic Lebanese running of government, both corruption, very big challenges within the country itself. Lebanon cannot sustain a war. Already now, if I said there was a buffer zone on the Israeli side that Hizbullah to a certain stage is created, on the Lebanese side, mainly Christian communities on the Lebanese side of the border have evacuated. They're displaced people. That's happening in Lebanon too. In the 2006 war, Israel chose to target very much so a lot of the infrastructure of Lebanon. We hold that country responsible for what grows within it. Having said that, we may do that again, but this country, Lebanon, the government, does not know how to contain Hizbullah, the terror organization, within itself. So there is no easy resolution for that. It will be hurt. Their economy will be hurt even worse. I would even say it's hurting now because of the war here on a side effect. But having said all of that, if the Lebanese do not take care of it, I don't think that the international community will not take care of it. It means that Israel will, and if Israel does that, that is only through the use of our military capability against Hizbullah's terror capability, which, as I've said, is throughout Lebanon, in towns, villages, in cities. That's where we would be attacking.
Well, is there something else that you would like to share with us?
Hizbullah is a hybrid terror organization. For those of you who see Hizbullah as being something that gives back to the Lebanese Shiite community, a terror organization that also does charity, a terror organization that is into education and is into health, is first and foremost a terror organization. Don't forget that.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for being with us today.
Absolutely, and thank you all for listening.